be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, O Lord.
When the Pharisees with some scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around Jesus, they observed that some of his disciples ate their meals with unclean, that is, unwashed hands. For the Pharisees, and in fact all Jews, do not eat without carefully washing their hands, keeping the tradition of the elders. And on coming from the marketplace, they do not eat without purifying themselves. And there are many other things that they have traditionally observed: the purification of cups and jugs and kettles and beds. So the Pharisees and scribes questioned him, "Why do your disciples not follow the tradition of the elders, but instead eat a meal with unclean hands?" He responded, "Well did Isaiah prophesy about you hypocrites, as it is written, 'These people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines human precepts.' You disregard God's commandment, but cling to human tradition." And he went on to say, "How well you have set aside the commandment of God in order to uphold your tradition. For Moses said, 'Honor your father and your mother,' and whoever curses father or mother shall die. Yet you say, if someone says to father or mother, 'Any support you might have had from me is korban,' meaning dedicated to God, you allow him to do nothing more for his father or mother. You nullify the word of God in favor of your tradition that you have handed on, and you do so many such things." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you.
Ulang adlaw kanatong tanan. A very interesting perspective we have to take into account. The Gospel reading speaks to us about so many what we call human interpretations of the law, to the point of making human traditions even, over and above what God has really proclaimed or given his people as precisely coming anything before whatever the human understanding can reach. But there is one very beautiful starting point for us to take a look into this, because all the things that God had revealed, all the things that God had created, even the laws and the traditions are basically good. And if you notice, there is an interesting accent into the hymn of creation. By the way, we started reading the book of Genesis yesterday with the first half of the so-called creation hymn. It is a hymn, it is a song. And there is an accent of which we have read today. After creating everything and man at the last, what did God say? When he started creating the light, the first day, the second day, every moment it always ends with, "And he saw that what he had created is good." But today, we come into that accent after man was created in his image and likeness, given all the stewardship. And then God said everything that he had created was very good. And I think this is something that we have to take into account, because it is because the creation of man, putting everything under his, not rule or control, but his stewardship, makes that goodness really one or part of our call. To make things good. In fact, to make things very good, because we are the only ones given that particular task. But sometimes we have to be very careful, because our goodness, sometimes our understanding may somehow be relative. And we get lost into all the discussions, just like the gospel reading today, that anything we see good, we sometimes give it a higher value and forgetting what the goodness that God really wants us to know. And that's the reason why, even if we consider anything good, we still have to go deep and understand what is the primary good of all. Because sometimes people would say, kill that, he's an addict anyway. That's a good for society. Oh, kill these people because they are just what we call, they are just mga samokras atong pananaw sa ato ang katilingban. That's also good in the sense of a societal perspective. But the good, the best, the very good that is inside the man is something that we have to defend. That's why even goodness in our world today come into conflicts and clashes. And we sometimes tend to forget that there is something good that only God and God knows and allows us to discover, because it is coming from the very dignity of the human person. And so as we continue with this Eucharistic celebration, taking everything good, we hope to transcend in trying to discover what really is the goodness that God has given. And according to philosophy, the expression would always say, what is true, what is good, and what is beautiful. And that is what we have to thank for to the Lord as well, because we are partakers of this in His great love and in His time. Amen.